So we have a lot of data just from what we're seeing. And then on top of that is our clients worked with over 100 clients now in the B2B space. And then we have a full-time social media manager that does all the copy and the AI, and she does the posting and things like that. Now I feel like I create content all the time. I never feel burnt out, but that's because I have a team in place now and we have the resources to be able to do that. And I've also learned.
Hey guys, before we begin the podcast, I just have a super simple ask for you. If you'd hit the subscribe button or follow, whatever it is on your platform, it helps me more than you can know. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, follow, and let's get right in. So Alex, you're a video marketing trainer in specifically B2B businesses. So that being said, can you tell us, the audience, why they should specifically listen to you?
Well, I spent the last 4.5 years living this myself. So I think first and foremost, like when you take advice from video marketers or video experts or social media experts, there's a lot of people out there giving advice that haven't in the past and or don't live it themselves now. So if you're listening to someone about video on LinkedIn or any other platform, and then you see that they post one video every 2 weeks, to me, that's not credible enough. You're not going to know, because you're not a practitioner yourself, what is working day in and day out, what is changing, how to react to those changes, what should you leverage in this video versus that video, this content versus that content. So I think there's 4.5 years, almost 5 years now of putting in the work myself, back to when I was a solo creator, just me doing everything myself, to now it's a 6-person personal brand team that we've assembled, putting out 40 videos every single week. So we have a lot of data just from what we're seeing. And then on top of that is our clients worked with over 100 clients now in the B2B space and help them attract their dream clients, build their brand, and accomplish their goals on social media and with video. So there's us doing it, there's me doing it myself, and then there's just dozens and over 100 plus clients now that we've worked with over the past few years.
Okay. Yeah, I would say, how do you balance that though? How do you balance working with clients and then doing it yourself? Because 40 videos a week is no small feat. Like running the business, I struggle with 10.
10 a week total?
10 a week between the different platforms. So it's one podcast, and that goes on Spotify, YouTube, and then 9 either short form or long form for LinkedIn. And then I repost that on Instagram, YouTube, etc. But how do you do 40 while running the business?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, to your point, it's a process, right? Like we didn't get there overnight. This is 4.5 years in. There's a couple of main things. One, you need a great system and process. So in the beginning, I was like all over the place trying to create content, trying to post it myself, trying to schedule it out. The process was a hot mess. I didn't know if I had enough videos. If I didn't have enough videos, it'd be like a Wednesday and I'd be trying to get out videos for the next week. It was all over the place. So you need a solid process and system. Ideally, there's a little bit of automation in there using something like a Zapier or system, right? Secondly, would be you need a content team. So if you're trying to edit all the videos yourself, which I did in the very beginning, that's going to be very time consuming and very limiting, especially as a founder of a business. You're definitely not going to want to do that for very long, if at all. So you build out a team. We've got 2 full-time video editors now. We've got the podcast. So we have a full-time podcast producer / editor. We have a content director that films me Monday and Tuesdays now and does behind the scenes work the rest of the week. And then we have a full-time social media manager that does all the copy and the AI, and she does the posting and things like that. So then you've got AI, which you now can use to create better content more efficiently. And you can create 10 posts in the amount of time it used to take 1 post. You can take transcriptions from videos and use AI prompts to turn those into high-performing LinkedIn text post or just a copy to go with the video. So I would say it's 3 things: the process system, the team, and then the AI.
Okay. What does that look like for you week to week? Like, can you break that down based on days or hours?
In terms of what?
In terms of splitting it up, because you said you do Monday and Tuesday, you film your videos essentially. But then what do you do the other 3 days? Like, what does a day-to-day look like running the business?
When I say we film Monday and Tuesday, it's not that we sit down and create videos Monday and Tuesday and that's all we do. Monday and Tuesdays are my heaviest client meeting type days, right? So I do a lot of my meetings on, like, the reason I was a couple minutes late to this is we just got back-to-back client meetings. But the thing is, my content director is here Monday and Tuesdays. So he's filming me throughout the day, right? So he captured moments during our last couple meetings where we had a tripod set up, my smartphone, and then I'm using a wireless mic. We're capturing what I would call me being the content. I'm not creating the content. I'm not sitting down saying, here's an idea, here's a hook, here's my 3 points, here's how I'm gonna, close the video out. It's just me going about my day. We're recording this. We're going to get content from this. This is me being the content. So Monday and Tuesdays, he's on site to capture that stuff. but I'm not setting aside a ton of time, if at all, to really create videos from scratch. So Monday and Tuesdays are heavy, heavy meeting days. Wednesdays, I typically film the podcast, and then it's more client behind the scenes type of work. Thursday's a little bit of a combination. And then Fridays, I try to leave open to prepare for the following week.
Okay, that makes sense. You did a lot of scripted long-ish form on like YouTube, but that seemed to dial down. Are you
Yes.
like essentially pushing away from that and doing a lot of reused, if you will?
No, I mean, we've definitely quadrupled on the short form on YouTube Shorts. We've slowed down. So I went through a period on what was April 2023 where I was like, I'm getting heavy on LinkedIn or heavy on YouTube. And YouTube's a platform. I don't know how much you know about it, but you have to produce great quality. If you're talking about long form, it's got to be well produced videos, well thought out videos, great hooks, great thumbnails, titles. Otherwise, you're going to post it and it's going to land in the ghost town or the black hole of LinkedIn or YouTube, and it's never going to get seen. Like no one's going to click on it. So you got to reverse engineer. Why would people be searching for this type of video? How would I tailor it to the people that are searching for it? What type of thumbnail would make them want to click on the video and title? And even when they click in, how am I going to execute on this from a tactical video standpoint to make sure that I retain that audience all the way through as much as I can? So I went heavy in April. I had like 600 subscribers. We went heavy for 6 to 8 months, did a video every single week for a little while, and then tailored it back to two, I think one every 2 weeks, then one every 3 weeks. And we grew from 650 subscribers to now over 7,000 in that period of time. So it's a pretty big jump. And more importantly, we won clients from it and get a lot of inbound leads now from it. The good thing about YouTube is you're going to have videos that you created months ago, if not years ago. And those same videos people will see today and generate a ton of impressions and views and reactions and comments and shares, inbound leads. So it's a type of social media platform that works for you long after you've created the content, which really isn't the case on most other platforms. So there was a period of time as we were implementing this new strategy called the Be Smart video strategy, where I hired the content director to film me. We're doing 40 videos a week. There's shifts in the business where we like slow down in one area to implement something new or to try something new. And then we come back to that later on if we believe it's valuable and worth doing. And that's kind of where we're at with YouTube. We're going to start posting a video, probably get back to every week, if not every other 2 weeks, because YouTube's just a gold mine, man. It's if you do it right, and you do got to put the time and the effort into it, which is why it's hard to do consistently for a long period of time. But if you do it right, there's such an opportunity there.
I agree. Do you know who Darren Lee is? He's the podcast marketer. Okay, so Darren Lee is, I don't know where he's located, like Bali or something. And he does specifically podcasting marketing. So he takes the podcast short from whatever, and his bread and butter is YouTube, like through and through, because what he's found is the guests bring in people because, again, the search feature on YouTube, right? If you're searching for like Dr. Robert Glover, for example, if you search for him, the best podcasts are going to rank. And so you can keep doing that over and over and over again. And it's kind of to your point here with that. What are your thoughts on volume versus quality? Like, which do you think works better in general?
Quality versus quantity. I think it's both. I think it's like that comparison is like, do I want to eat food or do I want to drink water? It's like you actually have to do both. I would actually pick water as the quantity, which I think you need to do more than the quality at first, especially when you're just getting started. Because how are you going to focus so hard on quality if you're new to producing videos? Like they're just not going to be that good. You're going to get good through producing a lot of videos and learning off the back of each one and getting better and getting feedback. Hopefully you're working with experts or you've got someone that can shoot you straight. So I think they should go hand in hand. The goal when we come into a company, a 7-8 figure B2B company, is say, how do we do both? How do we create high quality video content? Doesn't mean it's shot from an expensive camera or that it's highly, highly produced. Just high quality in terms of, is this useful and lasered in on our target audience? Is it going to be something they can take and go apply or use? Or is it a mindset shift or we identified a blind spot that they now know of? It's going to create demand for the business. So are we doing that? And then how do we get to a point where not overnight, but hey, if you're doing 0 videos a week right now and we can ramp you up to 2 or 3 a week, that's a win. If you're doing 2 or 3 a week and we can ramp you up to 5 or 6, that's a win. If you're doing 5 or 6 and we can get to 10 videos or 40 videos a week, that's a win. But it all depends on your threshold and your desire to want to create the content in the first place. And then your appetite for wanting to build a team around that. Because if you're saying, hey, I want to do 40 plus videos a week, great. Are you prepared to hire a couple full-time video editors, a content director? Are you prepared to spend the time, making the content and have someone film you as you're doing things throughout your day? There's definitely an investment there, time, resources, and just energy.
What would you say is the sweet spot in terms of output? What would you say gets the best return? Like, one video maybe isn't enough to really reach enough people, but like 10 videos, you're kind of skimping on the margins, if you will. Like, where do you think that sweet spot is?
Why do you say you're skimping on the margins at 10?
Like at 10, I feel like once you get to a certain point, you're pushing so much volume, it won't recommend you at the same rate. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, so I'm looking at it as kind of a website type thing. So with the website, 80% will get you 20% of it will get you 80% of it, right? So once you start getting to that last 20%, you're not fighting for everything. It's not worth as much as it would be if you were doing that first 20%. It's a little bit easier to show if I had like a whiteboard or something. But do you see what I'm saying here? Like the 80-20 rule, if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I mean, I think the sweet spot that I would say in terms of content is how much content can you put out of good quality, sustainable over a period of time. That's the sweet spot. So if that's 10 videos a week, amazing. I mean, we've been doing 40 videos a week the last few weeks. Every metric has skyrocketed. Our impressions, our engagement, our inbound leads, clients won like podcast invites, it's through the roof. So now it's a 1 month sample size. So it's like we need more data, obviously. But I can just tell you from the more content you put out, the more people you're going to get in front of and the more opportunities you're going to create. It would be the same if I said, if I go around speaking around the US on stages and I said, I'm going to go to 10 events this year. And you're like, cool, Alex, I'm going to do like 200. I'm going to be a road warrior and just fucking every week I'm out there on the road giving keynote speeches. Well, if your keynote speech sucked and you did 200 and mine was amazing and I did 10, I actually might win, right? Because you're not booking shit and you're not getting stuff from that because yours isn't good and mine is. But if you did 200 and it was really good and I did 10 and mine was really good too, who's going to create more opportunities? You are, because you've got 200, you've got 100 and 185 more chances to get in front of your ideal clients and to speak and to get content from it and to get shake hands afterwards. And like, so the sweet spot is like, hey, it's individual based. It's based on the company and where you're at today and where you want to go and how ambitious you want to be. So yeah, it could be 5 a week, could be 3 a week, it could be 10. I don't really think there's a limit on how much content you can create. I think to a certain standpoint, it just becomes a limitation of how much time, resources, and energy does it take to create that much content every single week, and can you sustain it over a period of months and years? Like, I don't want someone going hard and be like, I'm gonna do like 10 videos a week now, or 20 videos, 40 videos a week, and then you get the 1 month in and you burn out because you didn't have the systems and processes, you didn't have the team in place, you didn't have this right strategy. So now, yeah, congratulations, you did it for a month and now you're burnt out and you can't sustain it.
Yes, sustainability is really difficult. Like that's something that I found because I'm in college and while I'm doing this business, and it's so hard to find that sweet spot where I'm not burning out every single night and I don't just wake up and just type. Like it's so difficult to find that. And with content creation, like I definitely haven't hit that wall, but I'm sure that's
Yeah, I mean, this,
because just getting in front of a microphone is hard enough.
but the thing you'll learn, man, is like in the beginning, and I've went through plenty of times where I was doing most of it myself and trying to create all these creative videos and stuff, especially early on, 2020, 2019, 2021 even. And there'd be times where I'm like, I'm so like burnt out of creating content. But I was doing it myself and then me and an editor. Now I feel like I create content all the time. I never feel burnt out, but that's because I have a team in place now and we have the resources to be able to do that. And I've also learned and gotten really good at this. And I'm still learning. I feel like I'm just getting started. I have so much to learn. So I'm not at a place where I'm like, I figured everything out. Like I never think like that. But I also have learned a lot over the past 4.5 years from making mistakes, from going through it, from having things work amazingly well, from having things fail miserably. So when you have that vantage point, like now it's like, yeah, if you're just starting off and you're going against me, like I'm going to make it look easy and you're going to struggle to do 1/4 the amount of videos I am. And I'm going to make it look easy doing 4 times the amount, not because I'm just better, but because I've been through it. I've been that person that did the 1/4. I've been the person that struggled, that spent 7 hours on a video, posted it and it failed and did nothing. And I wanted to freaking like just bury my head in the sand. So it's experience really matters when you're building skills. Experience doesn't matter when you're just going through the motions and you're not learning and getting better. It's why you can find people that have been doing marketing for 10 years that get smoked by marketers that have been doing it for 18 months because they're practitioners and they're dedicated to their craft and they're learning every single day. And the marketer, maybe from 10 years, great experience, but they haven't been paying attention to what's happening on LinkedIn or with video or with podcasting, and they're asleep at the wheel.
100%. I wanted to circle back as well because now that you have a team versus not having a team, what was that buildup like? How did you slowly I guess, build your team? Because I'm assuming it wasn't overnight.
Right. It was really slow until it was not slow and it got really fast. So it's like, it was probably, let's call it 4 years of like me. And I think there's a little bit of like, how all in do you want to go with your video content and your social media brand building? Like, it's like, how ambitious are you? How much resources do you have? That was a factor early on, obviously, where I didn't have the money and resources I have now to spend on this stuff and invest back in the business because it was just a smaller business. But it was, 4 years of just me and an editor, maybe two editors, two and a half at times if we got really busy. And it was me trying to film all my own content from podcasts that I was on, from me going outside, filming stuff, creating stuff naturally, keynote speeches occasionally, things like that. But it was 4 years of doing that. And then I looked in the mirror and said, dude, why are you not going to the next level? Like, what are you waiting for? You have everything in place. Like, you could take this notches up. And for me, it's not just about like making more videos and more revenue and inbound leads and impressions. For me, it's, I have a strong desire to want to learn and grow. I want to push myself out of my comfort zone. For me, it's like exciting to take on a new client that I need to crack the puzzle because they have something interesting they offer. I'm not sure how we're going to market this yet on the first meeting, but I'm going to figure it out. It's interesting to say, hey, if we're going to go from posting, I don't know, 10 videos a week on all platforms to 40, dude, I'm going to have to grow as a person. I'm going to have to hire people. I'm going to have to lead my team differently. I'm going to have to hire somebody here in the States to film me. I'm going to have to create a better process and system. I'm going to figure out scheduling apps. I'm going to have to figure out a lot of things. And then what am I going to do with those learnings? I'm going to create them into free PDFs that I share with the world for nothing. I'm going to create videos on YouTube that help people implement the same thing. I'm going to take all this knowledge and help my clients implement these same things so they can help grow their business and personal brands and company brands. For me, there's just like a strong fire and desire within to want to learn and grow. That's really what like pushes me, man. So I'm not motivated by money or like a certain revenue amount. Yeah, it's great. We definitely track that. It's important. I think money matters. But for me, it's like, I'm just excited to wake up and grow and push myself to be a better me than I was yesterday.
Hey guys, hate to get into the podcast. I just wanted to say I have a newsletter. And this newsletter gets you free marketing information every single week with 3 marketing tips, 2 things that are going on in the marketing industry, and 1 of my personal case studies. So with that being said, if you at all want to learn about marketing, go ahead. There's going to be a link in my description to subscribe and enjoy the free information. With that, back to the podcast. Are you like the adrenaline junkie in terms of risk as well? Like, I'm an adrenaline junkie when it comes to business risk, and I don't know if that's just because I'm young, but are you similar in that respect?
I think everyone has a different tolerance to risk. Like for me, when I was 2020, I quit my corporate 6-figure job to do this. And my parents and family and everyone around me was like, are you an idiot? Like, you have benefits. I have 2 daughters. So like, I had them to take care of, obviously. I had benefits. I had all the good things that come with the corporate job. And people were like, why would you leave that to pursue LinkedIn video? Like, what? Like, that's so risky. You got to start everything from scratch. What if it doesn't work out? And I'm like, my mindset was like, either it works or I die. Like, there's no other option. Whether that's good or a bad mentality, I don't really care. It's just how I thought. I was like, dude, there's no way I don't make this work. Like, I'm smart enough, I'm talented enough, and I'll work hard enough, period. Like, it may be hard. It's definitely going to be challenging, no doubt about it. But of course it's going to be challenging. What would you want in life and out of your business, career, personal, anything that's going to be easy? If it was easy, everyone would do it and then it would have no worth. So of course it's going to be challenging. I would say my risk tolerance is, I'm willing to take risks, but I wouldn't say I'm like wildly like, I am calculated. I try to take calculated risks. Like, if I'm going to hire somebody or implement a new strategy, I try to think it out and say, does this make sense for the business? Is it the right thing to do? Am I doing it for the right reasons? I think it's important to be very intentional and thoughtful. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be taking risks. Like, that's the whole game. You're taking risks. You're betting everything.
It's scary too. Like you said, with when you dropped everyone was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, it's scary when you do that. Like, I don't have as much risk as you did, like, clearly. But from what I gather from the entrepreneurs near me, people that I've done websites for, people that I've worked with, like, it's just scary. You have no idea what's going to happen. You have the drive, but I mean, the next 3 months, 5 months, 2 years, like that's gone.
And I think that's where you got to know yourself, where it's like, hey, if this is going to give me anxiety and it's going to be overly scary and I'm going to stress about this, then maybe I'm better getting a job and having something more stable. For me, it's almost got to be like, there's a certain level of fear, I think, and uncertainty with anything, no doubt about it. But I think it's got to be like, I'm so pumped for this, dude. Like, let's fucking roll. Like, hey, we're going to figure out a way. Like, well, if it doesn't work out, we'll figure something else out. What if that strategy doesn't work? We'll pivot and do something else. What if it like what if LinkedIn goes out of business? Like then we'll go on a different platform. It's like I don't look at problems, I'm like solutions. Like how are we gonna figure like we'll figure this out.
Exactly. Like I had coaching. I'm the same way. I wanted to do some coaching, podcast coaching. That's why I brought up Darren Lee earlier. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We can make this work. Pays for it, tries to upsell another website. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is in business. Like, you got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yep.
I wanted to ask you as well about analytics. So, you made a post showing your LinkedIn analytics, and I want to say last Wednesday or so. That being said, of all of the metrics on LinkedIn, on YouTube, of those two platforms, what metrics are the most important to you? What do you look at? What should I be looking at?
Dude, the most important metrics are the ones that are not on the social media platforms, which are inbound leads. Are you booking meetings through your content? Right now, obviously, that's not going to happen right away, but I'll give you another metric that you should be looking at that also won't be on the LinkedIn or social media analytics too. The first thing I'm looking at is like, hey, as I look at my own content, I can see we've booked meetings, right? We've booked X amount of meetings in the last 30 days, 6 months, quarter. How many of those said they discovered us on LinkedIn versus YouTube versus TikTok versus Instagram versus for the podcast versus they found our website natively? Like, where are people coming from? That's going to show me, is my marketing working or not? Ultimately, I'm trying to generate revenue. I have a sales background. I'm like, marketing's marketing. Like, I'm trying to generate business. You know what I mean? So I want to know those metrics, which they're not going to show me on LinkedIn. I also can look at my website analytics and say, where are people coming from? What pages did they go on? What videos? You know, there's that type of stuff too, right? But the other side would be, yes, of course, you're going to look at impressions, engagements, and YouTube and TikTok have better analytics for video, of course, than LinkedIn. Although I just talked to LinkedIn yesterday, and they're going to be improving a lot of this stuff too, where they'll start to have watch time, retention rates, that kind of stuff, which is great. We need that. If they're going to get serious about video, they got to invest in that type of stuff too. And they have upped their analytic game the past year or two, no doubt about it. It's gotten so much better. But the qualitative feedback and data is what people should be looking at. So when you're, especially, and this is for people first starting off creating videos or social media, what type of comments are you getting or DMs are you getting? Or if you're getting nothing, can you share that piece of content with somebody you trust or a prospect or a dream client or someone that you've worked with now or you're currently working, whatever it might be? And can you ask them, hey, it's a 1-minute video. Give me honest feedback. Shoot me straight. Is this useful? Is it helpful? Anything you change? Is it fluff? Like, give me some feedback. And sometimes you'll get that feedback after you start posting content for a while, where the things I'm looking for in new clients are, getting comments like, hey man, this is so useful. I'm going to try to implement this today. I'm taking this video, and if you don't mind, I'm going to share it with my CEO because we've been thinking about implementing a strategy like this. Or, wow, this is such a helpful framework. Like, you really helped me get on video and I wasn't doing video before. Hey, I shared this with another executive over lunch the other day, and he had a question for you. Do you guys do this and this? Like, those are all feedback that should be either getting from the content inbound, or you should be seeking that feedback outbound. So to me, it's like the inbound leads, meetings, revenue, and then qualitative feedback in the beginning. What are people saying? We need to know if our content's connecting. Are people doing something with it? Are they sharing it? Right. And then of course you're going to look at the shares, saves, engagement, impressions. All of that stuff matters because that's more of a public, hey, here's how your content's hitting in the feeds with people. And that does matter too.
I know one thing that I've heard a lot is there's two types of content, one that you reach a broader audience and one that you use to sell. But you seem to be more on the side of trying to make sure it converts, trying to make sure you're getting revenue off of it, making sure it's converting, getting you leads. Would you say there's still a good place for just trying to reach as many people as possible? Or would you say that in B2B, it's not as...
I think there's, when you think about like people trying to go viral, and it's like, stop trying to go viral, because a lot of times going viral, I'm like, let me get something as broad as I possibly can. Sure. But let's play this out. Let's say you create something like for broad appeal. Let's say maybe you create an entertainment type video where like, this is going to get broad appeal. It's going to be funny. Everyone's going to laugh. It doesn't really have anything to do with my business. It doesn't really like speak to my target clients, but it's going to get a lot of attention. Great. Now you got a lot of people to watch that video or consume that piece of content. Guess what? Those people want to see more of that type of content. So why would I create something and try to blow it up to the masses for that broad audience to see it and say, oh my gosh, this was hilarious. I love that you had humor in the video. This made me laugh. I want more of that. And then you produce educational content and they're like, oh, I don't really care about this. I wanted to laugh. I thought I was going to come back because your last stuff entertained me. It's almost like going to a musician and they play, they're doing hip hop rap or jazz. And then they come back later on, they're doing rock. And it's like, oh, well, I kind of liked your first album. Now, why'd you switch it up on me? Right. So I focus on, not, hey, is this post going to be a broad post? Is this post going to be a sales post? Even though there's maybe nuances in there where you're doing a little bit of that, I think is fine. But mostly I think about every piece of content I put out. How is it going to educate, shed a new perspective, share a point of view that my target clients, the 7 and 8 figure B2B founders and CEOs of service-based businesses that are active on social, that are trying to put out content, but it's not working for them. How can I help them? How can I make an impact on them? Maybe it's, again, shedding light on a blind spot they didn't know they had. Or they've been posting content. I'm talking about, hey, you've been posting content on LinkedIn the last 3 months and you're not getting results. Here's why. Or it's time to take action, right? So to me, it's like, it's not really a focus of like, oh, this post needs to be sales, this post needs to be broad, this post needs to be this. It's more like every single post that we put out, let's be thoughtful about who we're trying to reach and the impact we want to make. And then there's certain posts that are going to hit a little broader, and that's fine. There's certain posts where I have call to actions in that are a little bit more salesy, and that's fine too. I think it's fine to mix that stuff in. But I think people got to be careful about trying to like go broad and then go sales, go broad and then go sales. There's, I think, a little bit of danger in that.
You said call to actions as well in videos, short form. What are your call to actions in short form? What are your thoughts? Because
I don't do any call to actions in my videos.
I did notice that.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I do call to actions on LinkedIn in the copy section sometimes. And then I've got my profile built out where it's a solid call to funnel or path to conversion, client, buyer journey, whatever it is. I've got specific places that I'm taking people and it's working really well. But I don't do call to actions in the videos. To me, I let the content speak for myself. Am I opposed to doing it every now and then? No, I think it's fine. I think this is where it's like a little bit, it's like art. It's like there's no one way to paint a painting. If you go to a instructor and they teach you how to do boxing or painting or anything, gymnastics, they're all going to teach you similar fundamentals, but they're all going to have their own way of kind of going about it too. I think that's the same thing with content.
Yeah, that's the problem with marketing in general, is it is like an art form. And the problem is everyone is so unique. It's also hard to track in a sense, because you don't know if this is really good for the brand and building a good image and maybe it's going to convert later, or if it's something that's converting now and destroying your reputation, right? You really have to find like...
It's not hard to track when you're, again, you've got a lot of data that you can look at. The audience is going to tell you if it's on point or not. The metrics will tell you if it's hitting with the audience. And then in terms of your brand, you just have to kind of look at your values as a brand and what you stand for. And, does this align with who we are and our message and our story and our mission? Yes or no? And if you think it does, but it doesn't, guess what? Your audience, they will let you know, because your audience kind of in a lot of ways is not I don't think I heard that your audience owns the brand. I don't think they own the brand, but I think they do shape it. I do think they're the brand keepers. Like if Nike did something weird, or like Bud Light is a good example, right? They had that whole Devin Mullaney thing, right? And the brand and the people don't own the brand. Bud Light owns the brand, so they can make decisions because they own it. They made that decision. Whether it's right or wrong is up for discussion. But the reality is when they put it in the marketplace, the audience, the brand members said, no, we don't like this. This isn't the brand that you've been communicating to us the last few decades. This doesn't align. This isn't who we are. This isn't our tribe. And then Bud Light retracted and they lost billions of dollars because of it. And now they're going a different direction that's more in line with the brand. And the brand members stood up and said, okay, this is good. This is what we like. Nike is a good example of like the Colin Kaepernick stuff. They stood up for him. A lot of people are like, oh, why would you stand up for someone like that? But guess what? Their sales skyrocketed because that's part of Nike's brand. That's who they are. They do take stances like that for social justice and things like they want to be bold. They want to be the one percenters. So that resonated. That was true to their brand and who they are. So I think the key is like, you got to stay true to who you are and what your brand is. And as long as you're doing that, they'll tell you how good the content is and you'll be able to get that feedback loop on a daily basis.
That's true. The problem is like, especially if you're smaller, it seems like it's mostly anecdotal when you're really small. Like I typically work with really small businesses, right? So when you're small, it's hard to find those metrics because a dip of like 50 people, that could just be because the economy's not doing great. That could just be because something funky happened in the community, right? So it's really hard to find specifically what it is and really root it out. But yeah, to your point, it's super... You really have to stick to your brand,
But that's where you talk to customers, right? If you're small, the advantage you have is you're nimble and you can talk to customers. If you're big, it's really hard because you've got so many different systems and processes and people and locations and this and that. You're removed from the customer a lot. When you're small, you're in the weeds with the customer. So if like something happens, it's like hey, how do you think we rolled out something new? What do you think about this? Is it helpful? Do you like it? Does it not? Like, yeah, it's a waste of time. I didn't like that feature. Oh yeah, I saw you added this. I don't know why you guys did that. Oh, you added this. This was amazing. This is so helpful. So I think communicating with customers is the ultimate way. It's if you look at how Amazon won and how Netflix won and all these Apple and like, Tesla, they're obsessively focused on the customer. And I think the same thing you got to do in your content is obsessively focus on the audience. How can I make this content better? How can I make my product or service better? How can I get them better results faster with less friction and less time? And to me, that's how you win. And if you're not sure how it's going, or you're not like, oh, it's like kind of ambiguous or ambiguous, then it's like go to the source and figure out what's happening, because they'll tell you.
Yeah, that's definitely something I need to work on. Like, quite honestly, with being websites, I'm the type of guy who wants to sit behind
It's
my
everyone,
computer.
right?
Yeah, like it's so hard.
It's everyone, right? I think it's everyone. We got to slow down sometimes. We're go, 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 go. And a lot of times we're like, all right, get to the next client. But it's like, are we getting feedback from the current clients? Did we ask them how the onboarding process was? Would we have done anything smoother or better? What did we ask them like 1 month in? How's the service going? And what did you like that you would keep? What's one thing that you would remove throughout this whole process that we've done so far that you thought was kind of worthless or pointless? So there's a million ways. I think you have to try to, again, do your best to communicate to the people that are using your products and services and the people that are consuming your content. And they'll tell you what you need to work on and what's good and what's not. And then the other piece of that is sometimes you got to be an innovator and a leader and see problems that they don't see, or see solutions to problems that they don't see, and test and try different things. Like I didn't always get feedback and then go take it out. Sometimes I thought, I think this will work. Let's try it. Let's innovate, right? And then let's get feedback from the audience and validate that it is a good idea or it's not a good idea.
Yeah, that's one thing that I found on websites. And the problem is talking to the customer, because there's these things, heat maps. You can put them on websites and you can kind of see where people are clicking, what people are doing. But the problem is that doesn't tell you what they thought of it. That just tells you if they saw it. And so I really need to work past that boundary of let's ask people. Let's not just like throw a heat map on and see what's happening.
Well, it's like when people book calls with you on social media. Let's say they find your content, they saw a video on LinkedIn, they saw a post you did on TikTok, whatever it is. Then they book a call with you. And maybe you have a good system and process in place where you know, oh, this call came from, they saw me on TikTok. They first discovered me on LinkedIn. Perfect. You're getting the good quantitative measurements where you can say, yeah, 70% of leads come from here, 30% come, that's good. But then on the call, people aren't asking questions like, hey, Andrew, I saw that when you fill out the form to book the call, you said you discovered me on LinkedIn. I'm curious, like, when did you first discover me? And you'd be like, dude, I think it's been like, I've probably been watching your videos for about 6 months. Nice. And what videos like caught your eye? Like, was there certain ones that made you want to, and like, it's the ones that you did about like the analytics, or the ones you did about how to put together a social strategy. I took one of them, and me and our executives, we tried to implement it. It didn't work very well, but we tried it. It's like, really interesting. Have you gone to like my profile? Like, did you find things? Yeah, actually, I went to your profile. Actually, subscribe to your newsletter there. Nice. What'd you think of that? Oh, I get your emails every single week. I love them. They're super helpful. In fact, I've got one of my frameworks right here. What about the podcast? Have you seen the podcast? It's like, these are the questions that like you need. This is the customer buyer journey. This is how you really map it out, is you got to be able to talk and figure out how'd you get from A to Z? And sometimes we get on these calls, we're like, cool, you found me on LinkedIn. Great. Hey, so what are you looking to do? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish right now? And we just like skip over sometimes the most important part of us putting out content, which is to get a customer through that buyer journey and have them become a customer. But we got to understand what that journey was like. And sometimes it's interesting to say, did you go to my website? And sometimes you're like, no, actually, I don't think I did. Other times like, yeah, I did. What I really found useful was you had a video on your pricing. And then what I liked is you had your pricing listed on your website. And it's like, oh, why was that helpful? Well, I looked at other sites the past couple of months, and most people like wouldn't even put their pricing, or they definitely didn't do a video on pricing. Awesome. And why was that impactful? Well, I just felt like I don't know. It's like, felt like I kind of built some trust with you and credibility with you. And the fact that you weren't willing to hide it, you're willing to put it out in the open like that. Awesome. I'm going to make sure that video stays on the website. Did you look at any of the FAQ videos? I really didn't get to those. Okay. Did you see them? I don't think I saw them. Okay, got it. Maybe we need to make those more visible. Or maybe they saw them, but they didn't go to them because they didn't care. The questions weren't good. So there's so much data we can collect. It's like, are we listening as marketers, as business owners? Are we listening and listening and listening and then taking action? Or are we just trying to take action and then, not listen to any of the feedback that we really need to hear?
Feedback is really important. That's one thing that's really hard, especially when you start as well. Like, if you don't have anyone to get feedback from, you just kind of have to keep pushing hammerhead. But you don't necessarily have to keep doing that if you have someone to ask. Like, it doesn't have to be your customer. It doesn't have to be your friend. Maybe it's just someone you met at a networking group. Maybe it's a professor that you have, something like that. As long as there's someone to talk to, it's really, really useful.
But it depends on what you're asking them, right? So if you're asking that professor or the person at networking event, hey, what do you think about this video? And then I ask them, well, have you created videos? No. Then fucking, I don't give a shit what your opinion is, right? I'm not going to ask someone that's never done a LinkedIn video a day in their life how my LinkedIn videos are. I don't care. You're not credible. And now if you're my target client and you're an owner of a business, then I care about your feedback, right? But if it's just some person I met at a networking event that doesn't know my area of expertise and isn't an expert in there or isn't my target audience, then it's kind of like be careful who you get advice from and be careful who you get feedback from. Just the same way, like if you had never grown a business, I'm not going to listen to you about how to get my business to 8 figures or whatever it might be, right? Like, and so, yeah, there's got to be some credibility and validity to who you're talking to and what they've done.
Hey, mate, are you at all struggling with your website, whether it be conversions, being found, or just in general getting people to do anything on your website aside from look at the homepage? Well, I'll tell you what, I have an offer for you. I personally book one-to-one meetings with people so that we can help them get their website from F tier to A tier. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in at all, go down below, check out the link in the description. There's going to be a Calendly link and a link to my website. Both of those can get you there. So go ahead, book a one-to-one personalized meeting with me, and looking forward to talking. With that, back to the podcast. Yeah. The problem is like that I've found is it's hard to find someone in like video niche. I'm in Wisconsin, so it's just like farm fields. So it's really hard to find someone without reaching out online who has that expertise as well. And when you start, you don't have as much capital. So like,
yeah,
you want to find someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And look, I mean, if you don't have resources in the beginning, you're going to spend more of your time to figure out things because you probably have more time to leverage, less resources. Then you start to get more successful and you start to get more resources. And then you use those resources to buy back some of the time and buy products or services or buy somebody's expertise or coaching to help you get farther along faster. Right. So in the beginning, I definitely couldn't hire people. I couldn't hire a business coach. I couldn't do any of that stuff. I didn't have the resources. I had to try to figure out what I can and leverage people around me and learn from other people on social. And we have this thing called the internet, which is great. And we can learn from like amazing people on YouTube and TikTok and LinkedIn, like every single day. And then as you grow, you can use your resources to spend money on things that are going to take you further faster.
You mentioned a business coach. Do you have one?
I hired one last year. I worked with them for 3 months. It's a great experience.
Okay. Would you say like hiring a general business coach is a good idea or trying to niche down? Like, what's your opinion on that?
I would find one that has been to where you want to go and that is as closely related to your niche as possible. So you could technically hire a business coach that has done things in a totally different field that is great for that field, but you bring them into your world and they don't understand the online video marketing space and they're not going to be as much value to you. I hired a business coach that had done what I done. He had scaled, or he had been where I want to go. He had scaled a business, an agency. He had team members, but it was a lot of virtual type stuff. He was heavy on social media, created video content, understood my business, had worked with other people just like me, and had sold his business for a multi-million-dollar successful exit. And I was like, I didn't just take his word for it. I watched a lot of his content for months before I made the decision. He had built trust and credibility with me the same way is how it happens on social media and with content. It's why it's so important. Like you can build trust and credibility with strangers and then they hire you. So that was that same process. But yeah, I would say that try to find somebody that one has done it, has lived it. And then two is closely related to your area of expertise. Like they really understand your business coming into it.
Niches are really important, like you said, like finding someone in your area, because everything, especially in marketing, every little different industry is different. If you don't mind, for your business coach, like what revenue were you at? And then like what of that were you paying to them? Like I'm just trying to like gauge at what point in a business's journey would it be a good idea to invest in a coach?
At any point in a business journey. I mean, it depends on how much resources you have and your individual situation. So for example, some people might start a company and maybe they've been in corporate for 10, 20 years and now they're 40, 50 years old, whatever it might be. And they've got a ton of money in the bank where they could say, hey, I want to start doing social media or video marketing or this or that or LinkedIn. And they say, I'm just going to pay Alex to get me ahead versus trying to figure this out for the next year. For me, it was different. I wasn't at that point when I first started my side hustle in business. I didn't have this stockpile of millions of dollars in the bank. So I had to leverage more of my time. And then later on, when I got more resources and I had the capital to do it, I hired the business coach. So I would say like, if you need help and you want to hire experts, I think for the most part, it's mostly a good idea to do that. Cause like, why would you not learn from other people that have done things that you want to do? They're going to give you the shortcut. You got to put in the work, of course, but they're probably, if they're good, they're going to get you there way faster than you can get there yourself. When you make that decision, depends on how many resources you have. Are you ready for it? You know, do you want to really get coaching, or do you want to try to do it your way? For, you know, you got to be in the mindset of, hey, I'm willing to like let this person come in and listen to them, really take their advice and use it and trust them. I think you got to be in that mind space. But yeah, you could do it day one starting a business, or you could do it 4 years in like I did. It just depends.
I feel like a lot of people also need to just get hit a couple times before they're actually ready to listen to someone. Like when I first started, I was kind of bullheaded, like most people. And so I was not ready to listen.
Ego gets in the way a lot. Yeah. Ego gets in the way a lot because we tell ourselves, which is unfortunate and holds us back from growth. We tell ourselves like, I can figure this out. I don't need to hire somebody. And the way I always look at it is go, okay, Andrew, it's Andrew versus Alex. And we're starting our business from ground zero and we're trying to do social media marketing and neither one of us have any experience. Let's say Andrew hires an expert, like our company, for example, right? For 2 months. And I'm going to show you every single thing I've learned the past 5 years of grinding this out and building a successful company and helping other clients. I'm going to give you everything I got, dude, for 2 months. You're going to have the most amazing start to this process. And then I'm over here. I didn't hire anybody. And now I'm starting from ground zero. 2 months in, who's going to be farther ahead? You, the expert with the coach, like no question about it. Because I'm going to be trying to figure everything out from my scratch. You're going to be 2 months in and go, yeah, dude, I'm already doing this. Why aren't you doing that? Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Oh, why didn't you hire a video editor? And Philip, like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't know that's what you do. Yeah, dude. Like, what? Do you have a system and process for this? Did you build automation in it? Did you do this and this? Do you know about LinkedIn? Da, da, da? No, I don't. Oh, look. Well, yeah, I got all the shortcuts day one. So that's what I like to look at. Is like, hey, LeBron James didn't have to hire a fitness coach. Michael Jordan didn't have to hire a fitness coach. Kobe Bryant didn't have that coach. Michael Phelps didn't need a fitness coach, but they did. All the boxers have trainers. Like if they didn't have the trainers and the coach, would they still be naturally good? Of course. But would they be that peak performance? Would they have gotten there as fast as they did and as long as they have? No. So there's a reason that everyone at a high level has a coach or an expert or someone that helps them get to the next level. It's like, here's what I'd say. What is it about? Is it about you being right and you being Mr. I'm the best, I do it all? Or is it about you being the best version of yourself? Because hiring somebody to come in that's good, that's credible, that will take you there. Is it about me leveling up and really being as good as I can be? Or is it about me being right and me wanting to have the ego?
Yeah.
Like, what's your priority? And that's it.
Have you heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No.
So the Dunning-Kruger effect is essentially when you first start, you're so ignorant, you think you're really, really good at it. But then there's a steep fall, like as soon as you start to learn a little bit more, and then it slowly starts to build up again. And I love that every time someone's like, ego, like, I know this, I got this. I'm like, dude, you think you know it? You don't. Like with websites, for example, everyone wants to go on to Wix or Squarespace and just build out their first website. And don't get me wrong, those platforms they work great if you're just using it for like a sales funnel or something. But if you're really trying to dial in for the web with search engine optimization, or you're trying to dial in your email marketing, your automations, doing something a little bit more custom, asking someone who knows what they're doing is a great way to go about it, because then you have all of the little nuances that they told you about, all the little tips, exactly like you're saying for email, for social media marketing. You have to know the little things to really skyrocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the more that you learn about the thing that you're trying to know about, the more you learn that you don't know about the thing you're trying to learn about. Like the more you're like, oh shit, I didn't know this and this and this. You keep learning and getting new things added, and you're like, oh, I'm getting new experiences and I'm learning new things. Then you realize, wow, there's a whole other level I didn't even know about.
There's a lot of really fun things that are small things that make a huge difference. Speaking of small things, Instagram. You said it was overrated in a recent short form on LinkedIn video, whatever you want to call it. Why is it overrated?
Very simply, it's just overly saturated. There's too many ads, and there's so many other places that people can go to consume content. So, I mean, it's just that simple. If you're starting from zero, I mean, I post on a platform every single week, but am I expecting it to be my growth channel? No, it's just easy to post there. We've already got the content created, so why not? Well, I'll be curious to see what happens over the next 6 months. I'm really going hard there. We'll see. But it's just saturated. I mean, it's the nature of every platform. Like LinkedIn was better in 2020, 2021 than it is now. TikTok had a golden era in 2020, 2019, 2021. And that's where you can grow really fast. Now it's harder to grow. I remember I do one post and gain like 1,000 followers. Now it's like going from 16 to 17 to 18,000 followers is like a grind. So it's just the nature, it's a cycle of platforms. You know, what happens is a platform comes out, a lot of people don't know about it. And so there's good organic reach, and then people start finding out about it. And a lot of people like hesitate to create. So there are more consumers, there's less creators, it's supply and demand. And then eventually people realize, oh, this is a great platform. Like I should probably start creating content here, like LinkedIn, like TikTok was. And then what happens is that pendulum kind of swings where now there's more creators and maybe more consumers, but there's maybe even more creators. And then there's companies that realize, oh, wait, this is a good platform. We should be on LinkedIn. Oh, shit, this is a great opportunity. Let's pour. And they have a ton of resources. So they pour a ton of ad money in there. Well, that ad money, you got to get pull attention from somewhere. It doesn't come out of the mystery sky. That takes away from organic reach, and they give attention to people that pay for it. So Instagram and Facebook are, I would never say that a channel can't work for you. I think you can kind of make any channel work if you do it right. I would just say that are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck and effort there versus a LinkedIn or a TikTok or a YouTube? No, you're not in most cases. But it's a good pay to play, good for ads and shit like that. Yeah, definitely.
So with that, I've found that LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts do the best for me, hands down, in terms of views, likes, engagement. And you mentioned TikTok in there as being one of the good one, like a better platform. Is it similar to those two for you, or would you say that YouTube and LinkedIn are kind of ahead?
LinkedIn is by far the number one platform right now for reach, organic reach. And I'm even talking video because they've got the new TikTok style LinkedIn video feed. They just seem to be pushing it as a platform. And so we're getting anywhere from 6 to 10,000 views per video to up to 100,000 plus per video. Maybe average is 20, 30, 40,000 views right now per video, which for LinkedIn is insane because you're talking about a B2B business community, higher volume, higher net worth people, business owners, founders, CEOs. This is a legit community that you are getting in front of. So LinkedIn would be number one in terms of organic reach. I would say YouTube second, only because the long form is so powerful. I mean, I have a video now, it's over 100,000 views that I still generate leads from, and I created it 9 months ago. So TikTok's been slower. It's been a little slow. I'm trying to get back heavy into it now, but I'd say Shorts and TikTok are probably somewhat close. I'd say Shorts are a little bit better, but I think LinkedIn and YouTube is like the 1-2 punch. If I had to go third, it would be TikTok. And then fourth would be everything else in terms of social media.
I would say LinkedIn's hands down doing the best. Like, I don't even have 500 followers on LinkedIn, and I've gotten 3 conversions already.
Right.
Like,
it's amazing, dude.
The return is just dumb, like stupid good.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just double check because we're hitting at about an hour here. Are you good to keep going?
No, I got a hard stop, dude.
All right. With that, tell you, where do you want to send people?
Website's fine. I've got a couple different things. I mean, I think if you're going to chat with me, probably LinkedIn. I'm most active on the LinkedIn platform in terms of engagement, responding to comments, DMs. So that would be the social media platform. Website, if you're curious on 2 things. One, I make some of my best content and send it out once a week on the email newsletter. So it's the stuff that I do like behind the scenes with client stuff. It's, for example, I had a conversation with LinkedIn yesterday about analytics and video and impressions, and I'm going to be sharing, there's nothing private that I can't share in there, but just I'm going to be sharing my key takeaways only in my email newsletter that'll go out Thursday. So definitely when you get on the website, get some of my best content there. And then I also have, if you're curious about posting a lot more video content, I have the Be Smart Video Strategy, which is a free 40, 50 page PDF. If you scroll down the website, you can download that. You don't need your name, email, nothing. It's completely ungated. And I did a video about it too, if you're serious about video content.
Perfect. With that, I'll link that all in the description as well so people can check it out there.